Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Atomic Salt Live Show, or I guess the hobby show now. This is the show we're going to talk about everything in the tabletop hobby world. As always, I'm joined by Casey. Casey, how are you this week?
Outstanding. You can see I'm doing a little bit of hobbying myself here. We ought to just call this like the live hobby hour or something, with directed topic discussion.
Well, we occasionally discuss news of the hobby world.
Oh, well, that's what I'm saying, like with directed discussion here. We gotta maybe, although that's a little too long. Maybe we just keep with the atomic salt.
The hobby chat hour.
Yeah.
So, what have you done this week in the hobby world?
It's been a busy week for me. So, first and foremost, I finished up a bunch of terrain by Underground Lasers. It was their arcade machines. So they actually turned out really nice. I'm very happy with how those turned out. I did them black. I made them look like old school 80s arcade machines, so it's like a black background with like bright splashy colors. I did bright edge highlights all around, and yeah, it looked really nice. It's nice because that's the kind of terrain that is functional as well as looking nice. It's not just jewelry that you kind of put around to make a board looks neat. At least for skirmish games, it'll be really functional. And then I got in. As you can see, I've been building some guys. This is Akmon from Corvus Belli's Infinity. So he's one of the new guys I'm working on to bring to LVO. He's along with a swath of other metal models that I'm working on here. Like, I'll be honest, I hate working on metal models so much, but it seems like that's all I do now. But I gotta say, for a metal model, and I know this is one of Corvus Belli's newest ones, this is a great model. There is so much detail here, like whether it's in his hair or like really deep lines in all of his armor panels. It's just a gorgeous model. I mean, it's still a pain in the butt to work on, but it is absolutely gorgeous. And then I also got in a little bit of gaming this week.
Nice. What'd you do?
So I played our good buddy Austin in one of the the LVO team tournament missions, since we'll be playing in that versus the championship, because I didn't want to pay $80 to an entry fees just to go and get.
But it's the same missions, right?
I don't know if they're the same missions or not. I haven't looked at the ITC championships. So basically what this was is the first half of it was, so you put down 5 objectives across the board, one in the dead center, one in each of your deployment zones. Then you each got to put one outside of your deployment zone, and then there was one in the very center of the board. And it was hold the most objectives at the end. And if you won, you got 8 points, and if you tied, you got 4 points. And then the other one was, then you also use that objectives that you set up for Maelstrom missions. And Austin brought his orcs, I had my Tau, and things did not go smoothly for me, let's say that.
What? The gun line did not work?
So I didn't bring a gun line. I said, you know what, I'm going to take only the stuff that I have done and painted and good to go. And then I started thinking about it, I'm like, this mission really rewards points for being able to get on objectives quickly. So I'm going to take a bunch of like infiltrators, and I'll get on objectives fast. And I know he's orcs, and he's going to be running up the board at me. But at the same time, I can mitigate that by using a lot of my speed. So I had guys in transports, and I had a lot of stealth suits, which are really quick. And it just didn't work out. Those orcs were a lot faster than I gave them credit for. And so he overtook all of everything that was packing heavy weapons very, very quickly.
Did you go first or second?
Second. He got to choose, and I did not succeed in stealing the initiative. And so, yeah, by about turn 3, he had gotten rid of all of my heavy weapon stuff, and he had, like uh, orc dreadnoughts coming down on me. And so it's kind of like, well, I've got nothing that can hurt these guys. So, and he's got all the objectives. So the game is pretty much over. So Austin took it pretty much like 20-0.
So you definitely need some more punching light tank armor.
Yeah, like I was thinking to myself, oh, I've got four fusion guns, which, if you're familiar at all with the Tau, that's an 18-inch melta gun. So it's not quite a multi-melta. So I've got all of those, and I've got a lot of plasma guns, and all my plasma is strength 6. But it just was not enough. So, I mean, like, whenever my fire warriors would get out of their transports and could just open up on a boy squad, yeah, sure, they evaporated. But it was just too little, too late. He had also rolled very well on his psychic powers. He was using the orc chart. So he had just some crazy some crazy template weapons. He had a teleporting power. So his orcs were jumping all around the board. We're basically getting into like deep strike in, and it's essentially Gates of Infinity.
Okay.
And so now give that to a 20 boy squad, and now that's just really, really scary. And not fun at all, I would say. Well, at least not fun for me. So I ended up getting my butt handed to me.
Well,
what about you?
Learned, right?
Yeah, lesson learned. Do not underestimate orc speed.
Yeah. Well, it gives you 6 more months of practice.
Yeah. So I'm going to sit down. I'm going to rethink my list a little bit, and then kind of come back to it. Or, well, not come back to it, but rethink a few things. So, what about you? What did you do this week in hobby?
So let's see. Several things happened this week for me. One real big thing, 22 pounds big thing. I got my Kingdom Death Monster box in the mail.
That game finally came out?
Yes, 3 years-ish.
Do you feel like it was worth 3 years?
The box is big. The box takes up more space than what you see here on my desk.
Like the actual box?
Yeah, the size of the box is probably yay big. And 22 pounds for just the this is wave 2 that I received. So that is the retail box, and then the extras for that box.
Uh-huh.
So that was, I got that in. So let's see if we can bring the camera closer so you guys can see it. So that is one of the miniatures in the box. That is the Kingsman. So I got him assembled. One of the first things I assembled just to see how the plastic worked out. It's a nice looking miniature.
Well, yeah, all of those miniatures are very, very nice.
And just like production wise, the plastic was pretty good. It assembled really nicely. The mold lines are very minimal, so cleaning up was easy. And as you see, pieced together pretty nicely.
Yeah, he's come together really clean. Now, granted, this is 2015. I expect a model to come together nicely like that, especially a single pose model. If you don't come together nicely and you don't have and you have and you don't have very minimal mold lines, it basically means you don't know what you're doing at this state of the game.
Well, I'd say this is more. Um, there's a line between a game piece and a painting piece, and I
Yeah.
think this one more. This one is a nice happy medium. So I've got a few, like the Shield of Teflon here from Wrath of Kings.
Mm-hmm.
I got him painted up this weekend. Tried some non-metal metallic gold. He is one of those where he's more towards the gaming piece side. Just the material, the mold lines and all that. I didn't want to go overboard on him, but yeah, the material, just like the cleaning it up is just the material doesn't clean up very well.
Mm-hmm.
So of the two, yeah, the Kingdom Death is real. This makes for a great miniature to put on the table and to paint up. And then I did some more painting. I got my ogre here. Did some more work on him. Just
Okay. And so this is the one that you did at your painting class.
yeah. One of the things Ashton Holbrook was telling me was uh, just to finish my miniatures. I brought some stuff to show him. Say, hey, can I get your opinion on this and all that? And they're half painted stuff. And he told me you learn more once you have everything. Once you got it finished painting. And it's like, oh, that makes sense. I mean, once you get it done, you can move on and say, okay, this is what I learned. But like stalling it halfway really just sets you back a little bit. So Morgan to finish this guy off, and so he's getting there. So that was my adventures in miniaturing. I did get a game in. I got some league play in for Wrath of Kings. So I'm learning the game. I also played 40K. I got to play Darren, our good buddy Darren, and we did mission 2 for the ITC. And
Okay. Which mission was that?
I'm not sure the name of it, but it was mission 2.
Describe it for me.
Vanguard deployment. So triangle
Okay.
deployment. One objective in the center, and then you place an objective in your opponent's deployment zone.
Yeah, so I think the team missions are going to be different than the ITC tournament missions. Nope, that's not like any. You don't place any ones in your opponent's backfield in the team tournament.
No. So, anyways, that's what we played, and I brought my list that I showed everybody. My Blood Angel Scions detachment, and I got thoroughly wrecked. Well, not wrecked. It ended up 6-8.
That's not thoroughly wrecked. That's actually pretty good.
But towards the end, I only had 2 things alive on the board, and it was the Valkyries.
Well, as a philosopher Vin Diesel once told me, it doesn't matter if you win by a mile or by an inch. A win is a win.
Yeah. But
or
I learned some. I learned the failties of my list, and then I learned how to go up against a drop pod army.
How do you do that? Because I've been trying to figure that out for nigh on a year now.
Well, the missions I see going second, especially this modified maelstrom that they do. Going second really helps you do a land grab. And then that having objective secure really helps as well. But one of my, I think if you see that you're going against a drop pod army, just reserve everything, and then you might piecemeal it, but if they're going first, they have to drop in, and then you can tweak some things on the board afterwards. Having your stuff on the board and getting alpha strikes really does hurt.
Yeah, maybe that's just what I've been doing wrong. Is I just need to start reserving more stuff against them and just trying to play like a punch counter punch with them.
And then so after that, I learned the fealties of the Scions. The Scions were great. When they came in, they did the job to grab the objective for me. They cleared stuff off the objective for me. The problem was Valkyrie. The Valkyrie is not a Vendetta. It does not have all the shiny las cannons that are twin link.
What does a Valkyrie pack on it?
You have a multi laser or upgrade to a just regular las cannon, and then you have missiles or you have missile pods.
Oh, see, that's not horrible. I mean,
at a BS3, it hurts.
Dude, my whole army is BS3, and your flyers are packing way more than mine.
You can modify that.
Okay, fair point.
Yeah, I would. The Valkyries, I mean, even in a squadron, they would shoot and miss. And then, you got single-use missiles, and you can't spell missiles without miss.
I suppose not.
And so that was the pain of, okay, I can wreck this dreadnought and nothing. And being in a squadron really takes away from their maneuverability because you have to pack them together.
That's true. A flyer squadron is a little difficult.
Yeah, I think I would much rather up the points. It's not possible in this codex, but yeah, pay more points and get the vendettas.
Yeah, but the vendettas don't hold as many people. Do they hold anybody at all?
6, I think.
Yeah.
So
you don't have
take your good with your bad.
You don't have vendettas in this codex?
No. Oh. You only have the Taurox Prime and the Valkyrie.
You could get some Tauroxes, some Bebop trucks.
Yeah, I've got one. I was looking at the points and it's just not feasible. So I'm gonna go back to my secondary army that I have a bigger collection of as Grey Knights, which you see me building here tonight.
I think that's actually what I suggested in the first place, wasn't it?
I wanted to try this out. It's a good thing. It's list building and trying is all about testing.
True. Now you know, and knowing's half the battle.
So we'll see how these Grey Knights are. More boots on the ground, a little bit more maneuverability.
I'm telling you, man. You take Drago?
Nope.
No?
No.
Because he's got Gates of Infinity, and you can basically just jump around and be annoying. Pair him with a librarian who buffs the gonkers out of him.
And you're talking about 500 points. Those two right there.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's worth it.
No, being a Grey Knight player, there's a lot of options, but you pay for a lot of them. And with Grey Knights, the more stuff you take, the less stuff you can bring.
Well, speaking of paying for it, You're talking about 600 points. I'm thinking more about, or you're talking about 500 points. I'm thinking more like 600 points.
And what would you spend 600 points on?
Let me show you. This guy right here. Everybody's been seeing it. It's probably not really big news by now, but it's the Tau KX-139 Tauenar Supremacy Armor. Gargantuan creature, 600 points, and roughly $500.
Yeah, that'll give you some.
My wife just looked over and said, "You have a $500 model." Kind of freaked out.
And you just got denied.
No, I'm okay because I laughed and told her no. Babe, if you ever see this thing on my table, you can divorce me.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the one sitting there.
No, I'm talking about sorry, anyways, so this guy is a Tau Lord of War. We've all kind of seen him here. So really, let's talk about rules because that's what we all care about, right? So as I mentioned before, he's a Lord of War. He's going to run 600 points. So while this is coming up here, I'll kind of talk it through a little bit. Weapon skill 2, ballistic skill 4, so he's a little bit better shot than the rest of my army. Strength 8, so he's a gargantuan creature. He doesn't have an armor value for better or for worse. Strength 8, toughness 9 with 10 wounds. 2 attacks, leadership 9, but that doesn't really matter too much because he's a gargantuan creature and has fearless.
So he's a Tau Titan.
Yes, he is essentially a mini Titan. Well, I'm going to say of a mini. Like a knight is a mini Titan, and this guy is definitely more than a knight. So he has several interesting weapons. So the first one is a 72-inch Strength D AP1. It's the apocalyptic template. It's like the 7-inch
Is that
template.
the one that's on the top?
Yes, those are those 3 guns on top. So it's going to drop a 7-inch template, which at ballistic skill 4 means it's generally always going to hit what you're shooting at. As I said, that is the dirty D right there of weapons. And that's one mode. And then the other mode is it has the apocalyptic barrage, 3 of them. And so I'm not exactly sure how that works. That's kind of an apocalypse thing. At strength 8 AP3. And this is just not coming up, is it? So on top of that, it's almost like I have this memorized. He has, on each arm, he has a variety of weapons that he can put on.
These are defensive weapons, right?
No, we're still talking about his offensive weapons. Each of his arm-mounted weapons, it's an assault 5, it's a heavy 5, 24-inch melta weapon. And he has one of those on each arm. And being he's a gargantuan creature, it means that he can target like the triple barrel gun at one target, his left arm at another target, and his right arm at even another target, if he so chooses. So, or he has ion weapons, which seen are strength 8 AP2. So and ignores cover.
Does he have the overcharge option?
He does not.
Okay, that's good.
He doesn't have the ability to kind of pump up his shots. And then just for giggles, he also has 2 twin link missile pods and 2 twin link burst cannons. So that's the vigilance defensive system. And even if he shoots those in his shooting phase, he can still use those as Overwatch. And they get to Overwatch at ballistic skill 2 versus 1. Oh, and then because you don't want, a model like that's going around without a decent protection system, He has a 5+ invulnerable save, which is a 4+ against shooting. And the cool thing is if he gets hit with a destroyer, like by a D weapon, and you get that death blow, you get that nasty 6, he's only going to half the amount of wounds inflicted. But then the shield stops working, so...
Further around that you're shooting at, right?
Right. Now, it's still going to be a lot, because a 6 is 6 plus D6 wounds. But that means that even at its worst, 6 plus... Let's say you rolled another 6. You've got 9 wounds that you've... Well, am I doing that right? Yeah, so you've got 9 wounds. He's still alive, even in the very worst case scenario. And you still have to get through start putting wounds on a toughness 9 target. So, and then, I mean, because he is a gargantuan creature, you have Fear, Fearless, Hammer of Wrath, Move Through Cover, Relentless, Smash, Strike Down, all those other fun rules. All for the low cost of 600 points.
Sounds like Tower gonna get some new stuff then.
Not just that. Well, I mean, we've seen the other new suits. Those have kind of leaked and hit. I don't have pictures pulled up because my computer is being dumb right now. Obviously one looks kind of like a sumo wrestler, but instead of arms, he has giant pods of missiles and a giant gun on his shoulder. And then the other one...
The new version of the Riptide?
Yeah, so the Riptide is still going to be around. I mean, we actually see Riptides in the same picture as this. This looks like a variant of maybe the Riptide. Maybe like a missile-focused Riptide. This could be like GW's version of the KX-139. Because Forge World has 2 Riptide variants, and so GW could just be doing their own version of like what Forge World has done. Because they've said before that they don't want to steal any more Forge World kits. And then the other one is kind of like a stealth suit looking thing. Now, what those rules are, we have no idea. Where they fit in, we have no idea. It's been hinted that, like I said, the missile side, or the missile tide, will be a Lord of War, and that the stealth suit will actually could fit into the HQ slot. So, yeah, so we're getting a lot of new toys. Us Tau players are spoiled for choice right now.
Well, so that means your whole list dynamic is going to get changed up.
Yep, which is why I don't feel too bad about losing to Austin, because it sounds like we're going to have a new codex dropping in about a month. So I'm kind of on hold with those guys right now. So that's why I'm going to be focusing on getting my Infinity stuff done right now.
You don't want to pay $500 for resin, so you'll do it for plastic?
I am not spending that much on plastic either. Honestly, let's... Okay.
That was a little time cough in the background.
Yeah. No. But, so, okay, folks, we weren't planning on going this direction, but it's rumored, so it looks like we're also going to be getting new Fire Warriors and possibly new Crisis suits as well. And there's this interesting conversation going on online. So one guy said, oh man, I have all these Crisis suits, and now I'm going to have to all replace them all to get all the new stuff. And I kind of, we had a disagreement, because I sat there and said, I don't care how amazing their new Crisis suits look. I'm keeping my old ones. Because, I mean, one, they're still legal, they're still viable to play. But then also, those are my suits. That's my army. I've been fighting with those guys for the last 4 years. Or like same with my Fire Warriors. There's in every squad I've got 2 or 3 guys who have, specialty markings that they've earned for doing something notable or impressive. Like, killing an entire squad of Grey Knights in a single round of shooting.
I believe that's a plastic cup. You can't paint a plastic cup.
I can paint it. I have painted plastic cups. Anyways, but my whole point is that, just because there's something newer and maybe cooler looking out there, that doesn't mean that I want to replace all my old stuff, because, I mean, now maybe not everybody else feels like that, but I mean, my army is my army. Those are my guys. I've built every one of them. I've won and lost with them. They're more than just a little model to me. And I don't know, maybe people like Codex chasers or people who are just interested in winning feel a little bit differently. And you guys are free to tell me that this is a dumb sentiment.
Well,
but
I mean, it's GW. We have seen in the past, GW will change up their rules to better favor the newer kits. Like with the Tau Carnifex. The Tau Carnifex in previous editions was the greatest thing in the book. You could take 9 of them. People had huge collections of them. And then the new codex came out, and they're like, well, we want you to bring mama bugs, or we want you to bring all this new stuff. And then we're just going to dumb down your
the
old
Tyrannifex or...
And so it's just like a big slap to the face. You're like, well, I have this collection of, I got these 9 Carnifexes, and they're not. Now you give me this new stuff, and these ones now can't do anything.
Yeah, but I mean, that's a little different. I'm talking about, like, updating the look of a kit.
Well,
in this case, like, the old Crisis suits probably won't work any different than the new Crisis suits will.
True.
And the new Fire Warrior kits won't do anything different than the old Fire Warrior kits. I'm just saying, it's more than just like a cool looking gun or a new helmet style, which is kind of what it's looking like for a lot of this army. And I don't need to go replacing my whole army just for a new kit style, because one, that's a lot of money, but then also two, I'm sentimental and I'm attached to my old guys.
Hopefully there won't be like when your codex released last time and everybody was buying missile drones like crazy.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point. I mean, and I'm kind of appreciative that I didn't go chasing a lot of that, and that's the danger. And it kind of falls into, why are you building your army? Are you building your army just to have like the latest and like the best toys, the most army crushing list? Or are you building an army that you like and that you care about? And that you kind of feel personally attached to. Because I guarantee, like, if they make broadsides not as good, you'll find them for like $15 a pop on eBay within a few days.
Yeah. It's definitely a buyer's market.
Oh yeah, but I mean, those are the people who are running, who went out and bought 9 broadsides right off the bat, because.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder how many people this past week went out and bought a Library Conclave.
Yeah, no kidding. So I don't know. That's just kind of where my thinking leads me. Is my army is my army, and just because something new and shiny shows up doesn't mean I'm going to get all excited and hot and bothered about it.
So how many Tau Titans do you think we'll see at LVO?
I'm not sure they're going to allow Tau Titans into LVO. We haven't heard yet either way. I imagine we'll hear probably on signals from the front here in the next day or so. And I guarantee you I will be listening close to that.
Well, I mean, those rules that they put out doesn't have a 40K approves.
I agree. Now, some people say that because it doesn't say that, it means that it is automatic. It should be automatically included. Some people say it doesn't. But
with people that say there are the type to say, Well, it doesn't say I can't do it.
Agreed. And at the same time, it doesn't say experimental rules on there either. Like there's just nothing.
Yeah, it was very different look.
So there's a rumor going around that Forge World is going to be updating some more of their books. I mean, like they've been doing, and that some of the new Tau stuff, like this will be included in there. And so that's why they haven't put like 40K approved on there, because these. So we'll see, because every other time a Tau Titan has come out, there's been there's always been experimental rules, and those experimental rules have always been amazing. And then, like when the 40K approved rules come out, they've been nerfed into oblivion. So we'll see on that front.
I mean, 600 points. That is more. That's almost less than double than a Night Titan.
Yes, it is. And I would stack this thing up against a Night Titan. I'm not sure I would put it up against 2, but definitely against 1. Now, it is exactly double 2 Wraith Knights. And I would definitely put this guy up against 2 of those. I have a feeling that this guy would rip Wraith Knights apart. So, like I said, we'll see. Tau are going to be changing a lot in the next 4 to 6 weeks, to the point where I am putting a hold on myself. There is no buying of Tau stuff until November.
Good thing though that there's plenty of plastic, or not plastic, metal, Peter.
Yep, that's why I'm working on Infinity.
So speaking of Infinity, the RPG finally released on Kickstarter.
How many times has this been delayed?
Well, they delayed it once, but now it's finally up and running. I think it's on day 5 now.
Yeah, it came out midweek. So I don't know. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this Kickstarter, Alan?
Well, let's see. Right now, their pledge goal was £25,000. They're currently at 142,000.
So about 500% funded, or no, 300% funded. No, 500%. Sorry, it's Sunday night. I'm not doing math.
Casey Math could.
Me, rocket scientist.
So let's see. It's by our buddies Chris Birch over at Modifius.
Yep.
It's a
wonderful man. Beautiful singing voice.
Does he whisper sweet lullabies to you?
That would just be weird.
It's the official role-playing game based on the Corvus Belli sci-fi skirmish game Infinity. It's based off of their 2D20 system that you can currently try out with Conan and their Cthulhu-based RPG.
Are you familiar with how that 2D20 system works?
I played the alpha. I'm waiting to see if I can get my hands on the beta. But yeah, it seems pretty nice.
I like it. I think, and especially with Infinity, I feel like it's a nice fit.
Yeah, it's very nice to makes rolling and everything a lot smoother.
Yeah, for essentially anybody who doesn't know, the idea is that if you have to do some sort of check, the DM will set a target that you have to beat. And the more difficult it is, the lower it's going to be. So let's say average difficulty it's a 10. So you get to roll 2d20s, and you got to try and roll under 10 with at least one of those. And if you roll under 10,
modify by your skills.
Yep, and then you have different skills that are going to modify it to make that roll easier or more difficult to make. So, and if you get under that, then you succeed. And if you succeed multiple times, then you start earning. Oh, I can't remember what they call it, but basically, yeah, or momentum. I think is what they call it to kind of start, building up to do cool stuff. Kind of like what we saw in Titan's Grave. When they were rolling doubles, they got to do cool tricks.
So yeah, very thematic. And from what it sounds like, it's going to be, you're going to have a lot of open world to this game.
Well, it sounds like there's also a lot of ways to play it too, isn't that right?
Yeah. Let me bring up the release page. While Casey's doing lines of metal shavings.
Oh, it burns at first, but then it just feels so good.
So here we have on the Modifius page the contents of the book, and they discuss what the core rulebook has inside of it. Let's see. It's got somatic action driven by twin engine and of heat and momentum. The triple battlefield of warfare, infowar, and Psywar, which is interesting. I don't think we've seen much Psywar in the tabletop.
Yeah, I was a little confused by that when I saw it, but I guess it'll become clear later on.
Multifaceted zone system, which brings the game world to life. All new artwork of the universe commissioned by Modifius and Corvus Belli. In the book, you can explore the complete chronology of the human sphere, detailing centuries of bloodshed, the culture, the history, the intrigue of 7 powerful nations, gazetteers from all 12 planets of the human sphere, including the beautiful full-color maps.
So what's your excuse for running around in this world? I mean, are we a set of bounty hunters? Are we mercenaries?
Let's see. Forging your identity with immersive life path character creation system. Fighting for your faction. Or you can go rogue. So they have supplements here for each of the main races. So you can play, or it gives you more detailed stuff for each faction, and with their system here, you can play as a person in the army of your faction, or you could be a rogue.
Okay, now we've talked about before, you're Hawk Islam Assassin and my Ariadne Wolfman. How do we get those two in the same team together?
Well, that's all up to the GM. So there's not going to be any locking of you can't play this because you're this. It looks like your GM will build a scenario around your backgrounds, allowing you to be who you want to be.
So one thing that I saw that was kind of interesting, and I'll let you explain this to me here, is they had what they called campaigns set up. And it looks like in the book it has something that they call the oh shoot, I can't remember it now. The Wasteland of Mirrors campaign, and the idea was that you would play O12 agents. or basically work for O12. Basically, if you guys have ever played Mass Effect, you're going to be a Spectre. You get to go where you want, do what you want, with the blessing of the government.
Yep.
So how does like a campaign work? Because the way I understood it is a GM. Ooh, hold on a sec here. Yeah, no problem. Is a GM basically gets like the way I thought it was. The GM makes up a story, and we all play through that story. But it doesn't sound like that's the case with a campaign. Like, how is that different?
So a campaign generally it allows you. It's got some pre-generated stuff, and allows you to just basically. So if you're not a strong GM, that you don't have everything built up, storyline, whatnot. These are pre-generated items that you can just follow through. Or if you want to just roll by yourself, you can do that. Just kind of like, okay, I'm going to do the action all by myself and see where it takes me. It's like to make your own adventure.
Okay. So you could conceivably like start off with a campaign. So you could say like, narratively, you guys are all going to start off as like O12 agents, and you're gonna do this campaign, and then congratulations. After that, you're free. In your next chapter, you're not with the O12 anymore, or something, and you've all gone.
Like campaign Paradiso.
Which we haven't played yet. We read about it,
but so each mission, if you complete or not complete, changes your story path. So if you do the main objective but couldn't find a secondary objective, that could hurt or hinder you in the next chapter.
So, okay, I could see that. That makes sense. So, if nothing else, I guess it's a good place for people who are new to either Infinity or role playing to kind of get their feet wet.
Yeah, definitely, it's a great option for new people because it's takes the guesswork. Because I mean. And then like the community is a big help too, because people can make their own scenarios and then upload them to the forums, and then allows people to play those and say, "Oh yeah, that was a great little story."
So, all right, so you want to get in on the Kickstarter. Like, what are our different pledge levels that we're looking at? Like, how much is this going to hurt?
Depends on if you want printed or PDF. That's the big options in this campaign. Because you can get everything you want, PDFs. They have a pledge level that has, I think, everything. Let's see. All the books in PDF and print. That's £300.
Wow. That's all right. But as we've seen, that's actually a lot. I mean, gosh, you're like looking at over 1,000 pages of material.
Or more. Yeah, it is huge. Yeah. You got the collector's edition, Game Master's Guide, Shadow Affairs campaign, Paradiso book, all faction books, Technology of the Human Sphere, Ships of the Human Sphere, Tactical or Tags, O12 Files, War Market Mercenaries, Archon Cascade campaign, Adventures in the Human Sphere collection, Nebula of Mirrors campaign, Hypercores, and the Player's Guide. That's a lot of stuff that you get in print and PDF.
Yeah. Okay. So then let's scale it back the other way. Like, let's say that I am all about Eugene, and that's all I care about. Like, do I have to buy everything, or can I just get
No.
Eugene?
You can just buy. Again, it depends on if you want PDF or if you want. Let's see. Yeah, depends on if you want PDF or the regular printed book.
Okay. So, like, what's kind of like the minimum cost for me to get in on this? As we've discussed, there's like you can spend about as much as you want with this, but like, what if I just want to dip my toe in?
So you're going to want the Infinity Core Rulebook PDF. That's going to be £20.
What is it, about $35?
31 USD currently.
Oh, that's not bad. 31. That's the actual rule book there.
Yes, it's the Core Rulebook in PDF.
Okay, so that's not bad at all. Now, granted, it looks like there's a whole lot of other stuff that's going to be coming.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff's a la carte too. So you can start there, and then if you just want to do Jing, yeah, you can just buy the edition. And those are, I think, 12 USD for all the little books.
$12 a pop.
All right, 12 pounds.
Okay, still you're looking at roughly $20. That's not bad.
They've unlocked a lot of stuff currently. They have a map pack that they've unlocked. They got the player's guide. They got faction books for 2 armies so far.
What 2 armies have they unlocked?
Nomad faction book. And let's see, Pardisio book. And Pano.
Wow.
Or no, Pano's next. So yeah. So they got, and then they got all the miniatures, which you can buy from Infinity later on as a different sculpt, or you get the exclusive one or the limited edition sculpts that they have in the campaign.
Are there any miniatures that they have that have caught your eye?
I like the look of, well, Hawk Islam, because Hawk Islam.
Mm-hmm.
I do like the Hawk Islam, Ariadna, Nomad, and Pano.
Okay, so like just about all of them.
Oh, no, yeah. 4 of the 6.
It's okay. You're a fan, Alan. We know.
Yeah, and I have all those.
You're among friends.
Well, you can paint these. They have them within. I think, yeah, they have the versions here. I think with the guns, and I think the ones coming out later won't have guns on them, so you can use them as your HVT.
Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, honestly, I think that's about the only way for you to really use these guys. I totally just lost my train of thought.
You still thinking Tau?
I am. True. So true. I know, dead air. This is really interesting to listen to. I really can't remember what I was like. I have the perfect segue, and now I don't know where I'm going with that.
Well, I mean, if you got options, like if they got the perfect GM collection, where it's got the stuff for the GM, and then it has additional player guides. So if you want to get your buddies in, you can do that as a group rate.
Yeah, so you can just slip them like the player guides and kind of see if they're interested or not.
Mm-hmm.
So, although speaking of people being interested, I mean, obviously, like it's done well so far, but what I'm a little bit afraid of is if you watched like the intro video that they've got going on there, is it doesn't really talk much about the game, like at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
Well,
just
it's not a game.
What?
It's not a game.
An RPG is a game, I would say.
But
I don't know.
they
What do you
have
call it?
they have well, like if you want to learn the dice system, they have their other products that you can try out.
Okay, I guess like the one thing that I'm a little concerned about is that maybe like it feels like they're selling this to the Infinity players, but if you don't understand Infinity, you might not really get the draw of this game. And so what I'm kind of worried is that this initial surge we saw was all like Infinity players jumping in. And once we kind of burn through all the Infinity players, then is anybody else going to jump onto this? Like it feels like we need a little bit more explanation of like what is the Infinity universe, and tell us a little bit more about your game system. And does that make sense?
Yeah, in a way.
Are they just selling this to the fans? Which I mean, I guess isn't a bad thing, but you just need to understand that as much as Infinity is growing, there's still a limited number of people who play it and or are familiar with it.
Well, it started out as a role-playing game, and it's been the company's been around for 10 years. And it's growing steady. So,
and I agree, but that's not my point. My point is that this is still Infinity is still very much a small game. It's growing, and it's growing fast, but there's a lot of other bigger games out there that people are more familiar with. And so, and it's true with like RPGs as well. I feel like their Kickstarter isn't telling people why, other than, hey, it's an Infinity RPG. But if you're not familiar with Infinity, I'm not sure that this Kickstarter is telling you why you should be excited about this. So now, granted, I mean, maybe they have more coming, and this is just kind of like, getting things up and running, which I understand that completely. I feel like they could do a little bit more explanation of their game system and of their settings. And I hope that they do, because I really want this Kickstarter to do well. I'll be honest, I haven't gotten into it yet. I'm still kind of waiting because that's the kind of person I am. And I'm still trying to talk my wife into playing an RPG with me. It's not Dungeons and Dragons.
You can get a set of dice.
Oh, I've already got D20s. I don't need a set of dice.
We got some 6-sided dice at adult novelty stores.
I have regular 40K D6s. Thank you very much. So, yeah, I just want to do well, and I'm hoping that they have a lot more. Well, sure, it's already done well, but
it's already funded.
Yes, but I see all of their stretch goals, and I really want them to hit all of those stretch goals.
Well,
so when I get into like the all of the stuff, there is a lot of stuff to be had.
Well, then I guess it goes back to Modifius themselves as a company and their reputation. This is a company that has won a couple awards, some Ennies, for Octum Cthulhu. So they've got some clout as RPG makers.
Yes, and if you look at like their previous Kickstarters, all of their Kickstarters have done well. They've delivered either on time or they were very close to on time, and they had a reason why they were not on time. And if they weren't on time, they were usually giving you more stuff. So I feel like they're generally a safe bet. I mean, you're going to get what you're expecting, if not slightly more.
And it looks
But-
like they, I mean, because they're doing a PDF and so they're releasing 2 separate waves, the PDF version and then the Dead Tree edition. So I think that's going to be pretty nice for people just to get their hands on it and then be able to actually have it in their hands.
So, Alan, let me ask you this: what level have you gone in on?
I'm at the collector's edition because I'm an addict, and if it's limited edition or something, I have to have it.
I know it trips the shiny syndrome, doesn't it?
Yes.
So, now the interesting thing, I think that, before we wrap this up, the interesting thing is one of the pledge levels actually lets you put yourself into the game.
Yeah. That's the Bostria level, the artist level.
So, would you consider going in for one of those? Now, they've been hard to get a hold of because they've been opening them up on, a few here and a few there. If you had the option, would you get in on one of those?
It would have been nice, but then I was looking at it and like, then it doesn't come with the collector's edition. So then you have to upgrade that. And just to have my likeness and name in the book, it'd be cool, but it's going to be in the book regardless because I'm a backer.
True.
And knowing Bostria's sense of humor, I'm kind of afraid of what I would appear in the book.
Yeah, you never know. Although he doesn't really know you, so I imagine that there's some more.
Bostria is everywhere.
True, but there's some people out there that he knows more than others. So, all right. Well, we'll continue to watch this Kickstarter as it grows and evolves. We've got a number of weeks left in it, and I'm sure we're going to see some more interesting stuff. Likewise, I think we're going to see a lot more interesting things for the Tau in the future that we'll get to talk about, and of course, there'll be more models to build, more LVO games to dissect,
and we'll see more and more track marks on your arm because you're probably going to be donating plasma to fund your hobby.
I am selling my body for this. Can you believe that? Plasma donation. It's a joke. All right. So, do you have anything else, Alan?
No, I think that's it for me tonight. As you see, I've got the basis of 10 Green Knights going.
Nice. I've got the pouches put on Drakios here. I've got the pouches put on the Dactyl. I'm putting a pouch on. Oh, sorry. This is Akamon. I'm putting the pouches on Drakios. Pouches on the Chandra Spec Ops. So, like I said, there's a lot of pouches going on here tonight.
Everybody, you get a purse, and you get a purse.
It's where Aleph keeps all of their weapons. So, but that's it for me.
All right, that's it for me too. Thank you guys for watching. Let us know in the comments what you guys think. Are you going to be getting into Infinity RPG? Are you going to be getting into Tau? Are you going to be at the LVO? We'd love to hear from you. So do us a favor, give this video a like, comment down below, share with your friends, and subscribe as always to see more. Casey, anything else?
No, just as always, if there's something you'd like us to spend a little bit of time discussing, or if there's a product you'd like us to take a look at, just shoot us an email at theatomicsalt@gmail.com. This is The Atomic Salt, and we've just blown your mind.
Have a good night, folks, and a good week.